4 years. And what this place is, this is a facility several miles off the west coast of Puerto Rico. It is, you could say it's underwater, but it's really under the surface of the ocean, buried. I can't even begin to tell you how deep. I don't really know. But what they do there, and the base is nicknamed Pro-C, for short for Project Seagate. Let's rewind. Let's go back about 30 years. About 30 years ago, through a military mapping and some research that was being done, I believe through the Navy, they had come across something in that area. So then, of course, research, excavation, and then eventually a facility was put in there because they had found something. They had found something quite unique. It's what is referred to as the Seagate. It is in a giant pool of salt water. The salt water has its own unique characteristics. Nothing grows in the salt water. I mean, it looks clear as a pool. And this facility that they found obviously was alien technology. And it was quite old. So through the standards of, reverse engineering and then even some information sharing by their contacts, they then built this facility. The Seagate is a trans-dimensional portal. It can be used for time travel. It can be used for going to other planets. When you go to wherever you go to, you have to enter through the water into this portal, and then when you come out on the other side, you come out through water on the other side. The thing is that the water, obviously, in different locations, different planets or other locations, the water has different characteristics. So what they had to do is they had a room that was called the acclimation room, where they had tanks. What they had done was sent drones through the Seagate, and these giant drones would collect water samples enough to where they would have multiple tanks. And then subjects like me and Axe were put into this water to make sure that our body would react. And I can tell you this, not everybody survived. People would go in the water and some very interesting reactions would happen, pretty terrible things. I do remember an incident where a guy started bleeding out of his skin. Another one where the guy just died. So I've got some pretty vivid and horrific memories of this occurring. Now, Axe she had a call sign. Her call sign was Skywatcher. She also has altars. She has an altar that is named Samantha. Samantha is the equivalent to her of what 7 is for me. Samantha is the dead, cold killer. But Axe has got some very interesting abilities. What her role basically is, well, I mean, she can do remote viewing. She can even do bilocation remote viewing. But she had this certain role to where she could bring me out of what I was in. Now, let me explain this. I excelled very, very high, and they had discovered that there was not a single water sample that I had any bad reaction to. In fact, they found out the opposite. Obviously, from the training further, that I had remarkable acclimation abilities with all this water. However, they would always do it when I was in an alternate state. Usually 7. Sometimes there's another altar that people have said that when I'm in this altar, I refer to myself as Cyrus. There's another one, I don't remember, but I have a lot of altars. I've been told 37 altars, but obviously I don't remember if that's, the case or not. But okay, so here's what would happen. When I would come back from wherever I went and come out of the tank, I would be in berserker mode. I would be very violent and just out of control. Sometimes I would come back and I would be dead. And Axe was trained and programmed to bring me out of altar or to literally bring me back. Now, why was I used for Project Seagate? I was a member of a team referred to as the Sentinels, and we were basically a team to where if diplomatic things went wrong or if a certain mission went awry, we were like the last chance. We were the ones that were called in to fix the mess. Various different things, whether it was an assassination, whether it was, doing an abduction. I have been a part of my labs of military abductions. In fact, I've just recently been in contact with someone who I had my labbed back in 1999. And that's interesting because in 1999 was my first introduction into Operation Spyglass, which is basically a my lab operation. Now, there's other things that do occur at Project Seagate. Project Seagate basically has 3 sub-projects, okay? There is the actual Project Seagate itself, the transdimensional and portal that can be used for various things, not just for time travel. It can be used for going off planets. But then there's also another secretive project that's being done with ETs, with aliens. And then there's another project, and that is the Super Soldier Hybrid program. That's very similar to the...
Are you aware of the aliens that they are in contact with? Are these the Dogons or the Draconians or the... there's
some of them are, yes. But remember, some of them are also, believe it or not, some of them are also Pleiadian and Andromedan. There's more of a collective than people are aware of. See, not all certain ETs are bad, and not all of them are all good. There are good and bad ones of all races, just as there are good and bad people on Earth.
Good to point out,
and
definitely.
So, they've taken vested interest. There are good Draconians. There are. I ran into one a while back, but we can talk about that sometime when you and I are just talking. The Super Soldier program, hybrid program, is something that Axe and I were very, very familiar with, and here's why. They used dolphins. They were actually creating hybrids using human and dolphin DNA. Occasionally, they would try it with whale DNA, but for some reason the dolphin one really worked well. I have several pictures of a couple of different of these species, but the experiments went sometimes really, really wrong, and Axe and I witnessed this. I have recently heard that they have gone to the point where they have some that look almost entirely human. And then they have some that look almost entirely dolphin-like. These hybrids had some of them had really high psychic ability. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. We would have to go into this tank. We would have to go into this tank with regular dolphins, pure blood dolphins, and do this. It was kind of like a melding of minds where we actually were learning from the dolphins on how to do echolocation.